Hello, wonderful people. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. Wow, chat is definitely moving faster than I can see what's going on. I will say hi to everybody. Now, I've got a few people that's going to come up on panel because people want to ask questions. This is pretty much going to be a Q&A about the filing. Anything that is stated in the filing, I can speak about. If it's not in the filing and it's coordinated with DCS, then obviously I can't speak about it. I do again appreciate everybody that's here. Our first guest on panel will be none other but the Bullhorn Betty.
Hello, my guys. Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody is doing well this evening. I just wanted to make sure the moderation was slowed down, the chat was slowed and stuff.
Sometimes you can't slow it down enough for me to even read it.
Yeah, but we got plenty of moderators, by the way. Thank you, moderators, for being in the chat. We appreciate
I
you.
would like to say thank you to the moderators and just let's stay on topic. If somebody comes in and they're not staying on topic, you know,
Gaslighting, being rude, say what you mean, but you don't have to be disrespectful. Don't be a Richard.
don't be carrying a bag of Richards with you. Um, don't smile, Betty.
It just took me off guard. That's all. Back on track.
Yeah, it is definitely it has taken a lot to get to this point, and you know I shouldn't have to file a lawsuit just to get people to do their job, and it's horrible. I don't want other parents to go through this. I've reached out to a lot of politicians, a lot of people who make the laws here in Tennessee, and for some odd reason, they just want to ignore the fact that there's a child missing. And we need to take care of our children. Society is supposed to be taking care of their children because their children are the next people that hold office, hold positions within the community, and help build and keep the community alive. And what is going on is just not it's not accepted. It shouldn't be tolerated, and it seems like it is tolerated. And it seems that people get tired of saying the same thing. And you know, when you complain to your teacher, then you complain to your teacher's boss, then you complain to the principal, then you complain to the school board, and there's just there's just a you have to follow protocol and procedure, and when protocol and procedures are not followed, the floor is not going to be stable.
And that's pretty much what all this is about is policies and procedures not being followed. Lots of them all over the place.
It's yeah, it's pretty. It shouldn't be this way. I've got somebody else I'm bringing up on stage now. Hey, look, it's Smiley.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Miss Smiley.
Hello, Miss Betty. Hello, Mr. Seth. Hello, chat. Hello, hello. Yeah, this is this is all about Sebastian, y'all. This needs to be focused on Sebastian. And if you don't like it, you can kick some rocks.
Hmm.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I think what we've all witnessed here was a hot mess express. It looked like a lot of people came together for the right reason at the beginning of this case, but even with all of the lack of answers and when this case should have pivoted, when things got real and it was time for things to be done, those things were not getting done. And everybody
My
knows the
opinion,
first
they're
48
still not
hours.
getting done.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. They're still not getting done.
Ladies and gentlemen in chat, we're not. I mean, appreciate the support from everybody, but if we can leave particular people out of the conversation, that'd be great because this should be about Sebastian
Mm-hmm.
100%, and the fact that entities that are here that are supposed to be helping us with our children aren't. You know, everybody is allowed to have their opinion, and I 100% understand that. But this is
But
about, you know, this is about Sebastian. He's the only thing that matters. He's the only one that's missing.
Everybody should be worried about Sebastian. No team, nobody, just Sebastian. That's it.
I never liked the idea of
Except
giving things
Sebastian's
away.
army. Sebastian's army is who we
It's
are.
about Sebastian's army
Yeah,
Mhm.
and finding him.
I agree. I agree.
So, Betty, would you like to start with some questions? I know that you.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily some questions. I think that it's important for everybody to understand because there's so much confusion. I think because of the when it comes to social media, I think when it comes down to the punitive damages or the damages, people are a little concerned about it. But at the end of the day, you're trying to affect change and you've got an attorney that is assessing this case and is kind of telling you and advising you and doing and you're following what your attorney is suggesting and saying. And so I just want people to understand what brought you to this point where you have to, when you should not be having to file a complaint. Ooh, somebody's echoing. I think it's you, Jen. There you are. Hi, Jen.
Hey, hey, y'all.
Hey, Jen,
Hey,
beautiful.
honeys. Good to see you guys. Good to see you
Oh, you got to
guys.
turn your volume
Yeah,
down.
you got to turn your volume down just a little bit.
Is my
Oh, it's
volume's
way.
up?
I can hear you through my open door
How do I
two
do
hours
that?
away. It's like Betty, I don't. I can just leave it on mute and open my door and hear from.
Is that better?
I turned my volume like way down. Like I should sound like a mouse right now.
Is that
No,
better?
no.
Yeah, that's
I mean, yeah, it's great. Appreciate it, Jen.
Is it better, Seth? Is it better,
Sure.
guys? Am I too
Yes.
loud?
No.
Jen is louder than Betty. I don't know why. Let me
Now
see. Let me check now.
Wow.
that is not even cool. Okay.
Looks like she dropped.
I have I have a reputation to uphold.
Oh, she's back.
Okay. My gosh.
Okay, you sound better. I mean,
yeah,
you're
that
still
sounds better.
yeah.
Does that sound
You're,
better? Okay.
Mhm.
you're not screeching in my ear because I got earbuds in. It's
Okay,
like
I've got my
I
really
say
loud.
you wear
okay.
both of them.
Well, hello, guys.
Mm.
Hi.
Is your camera? Oh, there's your camera. Okay.
Yeah.
There you are. Hello, Miss Jen. How are you?
Oh, just living the dream, running back and forth to Nashville. I'm so glad that we are I'm glad that we're at this point. You know, we haven't found Sebastian. We this is good stuff. It has to be done.
It's sad that it needs to be. I think this is kind of
Yeah.
a great pivot into like Sebastian's army, but I think first, I think people need to understand what brought you to this point. I mean, a lot of people that are criticizing these measures right now weren't, first of all, don't have a child missing. Secondly, you know, they didn't have a child missing and was able to walk into what should have been deemed from not whether or not it was truly a crime scene. It just matters that when you have a missing child, there is a standard and a protocol that you should be going through each and every time. And the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children specifically put out a directive that says turn these places into crime scenes because you really don't know what truly happened to the child. And until
Right.
you find the child, you need to preserve evidence. So this
It's
is the
about scene
standard.
preservation more than it being a crime scene. It's
Thank
about
you. Yes.
preserving the last location that the child was in,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Right. And if nothing more, they usually need to keep the family out until the child is found or they know what is going on. And at this point, when I interviewed you what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost,
Feels
it
like it could have been yesterday.
it does. It does.
Yeah.
You said that you walked right into that house, and the thing that just flashed before my eyes because it's a polarizing case is John Benet Ramsey. And these are, there was a lot of law enforcement policies and procedures across this country that changed as a direct result of the John Benet Ramsey case. And to think that this was such a lax a daisy, you know, um, unprofessional search and situation at the beginning that should have been cut off. Nobody should have been allowed in that house until the child was found. That's typically standard op, in my opinion.
Hey guys. Hey Betty. I
Hey,
think you're absolutely spot on. More and more of
Hey,
these
Lady
children are
Freedom.
being reported missing. Hey Jen. Hey guys. They're reported missing, but they're really not missing. Something else happened, right? Like the Javea Harris case, very newest one that I covered. So, yeah.
Right. My car was searched because of that case, which again, another missed opportunity for this. Think about how many cases I've been boots on the ground at a missing child's case, and I've never had my vehicle searched. They don't know me from Adam. They don't know whether I'm coming in and going out. I mean, and this was the first time that my car was actually searched for a missing child. I felt like I wasn't offended at all. The only thing I was offended about is like, why isn't this standard operating procedure for a missing child?
Yeah, they were searching like they're doing like checkpoints, right?
They had one. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, there was two different ones. There was one right there going in, and I introduced myself to the officer and said, "Where's this, staging ground for media?" And so I had to go through him, and then I went up there and I engaged with two other officers, and they're like, "We understand here's where you stage at, but we still have a missing 4-year-old. Do you mind if we search your vehicle?" And I'm like, yeah, "My vehicle's full of, equipment, but have at it,
Wow. Oh my
have at
God.
it." So
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. But
yeah,
they shut it down because they were thinking she was abducted, right? I think they
you
wanted to
know
make
what?
sure
That
anybody in and out was not
I don't
involved.
know. You know what? To be honest with you, it was. I know that she wasn't just a normal missing child when that happened because again, I've never had that happen on any of the cases I've been on. So I already knew that there was already something, another element, so to speak, that was a little different.
So
Yeah.
have we all looked at the lawsuit?
Well, that's what we were
I
getting
have.
into when you
Yep.
guys were getting in there. I wanted to
Yeah,
kind of
go ahead, Betty.
Yeah, because I haven't had a
explain.
chance to look at the whole thing. I'm gonna go over it later, is what I told everybody yesterday on my panel. And
Yeah.
I
yeah.
listened to it, by the way. I'll say that I didn't read it myself, but I did
Because I'd
listen
like
to
to
it
talk
being
about
read.
Title IV. Title IV.
Okay, one second.
I don't even know which paragraph.
Title IV is going to be.
But before we get
Yeah,
into
go ahead.
that,
Yeah.
can I ask Seth? He may not um, want to do that, but so this is coming out in the lawsuit. What your lawyers has put out, is there's more in there that's redacted and stuff like that, right? That may come out or may not come out, right?
Correct.
Okay, so just to clear this up, because I've heard this around the internet. So can we put it like we've had in a private conversation, which I didn't ask you, but you've said it yourself. But so I just want to clear this up for everybody watching. It might be helpful. So you said this was one of the reasons that the CMDs and I, you can stop me if I'm wrong, but you said this was one of the reasons that the CNDs come out, because we all know that the papers got took from you. Okay, we don't have to name names and stuff like that. And
Right.
some
Oh,
people
you're
has,
talking about the Department of Children
yeah,
and
yeah. I
Family
just want to say, I
Services.
just want to,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like
The
to clear
cease
this
and
up real quick.
desist were to put a space between me and that individual, so
Mhm.
that when DCS, if they hit the public, and it's not going to be by me, if they hit the public, it would know that when they sat there and came back and traced it to whoever, well, on file, I have a cease and desist, meaning I'm not only are they not supposed to be sharing any information that they have received, that I am not sharing and giving them permission to share anything that they have taken from me.
Yeah, because you didn't want, because they could arrest you for that, right? So I didn't. I just wanted to clear that up about CNDs. I'm sorry. I know y'all are going into
Oh
something
no,
else, but it would take a
it's
long time.
fine.
So it just popped in
DCS
my brain.
contacted that attorney because that attorney was a family attorney, a family law
Right.
attorney, and she's the one that helped me get the DCS records. And she did that to cover her client.
Right.
You
I
know,
just wanted to clear that part up. I'm sorry, Betty. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, no, no,
I
no.
just thought maybe that would help clear up the CNDs and some things, because some things look bad on Seth, and I hear things, and I'm just like,
Well, they've
can we
had
clear that up?
we've cleared that up many times.
I
Everybody knew
know.
those C and Ds were direct related because somebody took stuff off of his phone that he was under strict confidence not to share. Even as a father, you could not share these
like
documents. It's unlawful.
Betty has been with me from the get go. Well, not the get go, but a couple months in, and she has never seen the DCS reports.
Never.
Right.
I've been to Jen's house and have had dinners, card nights, things like that, and she has never seen the DCS reports.
Right. That's right.
Right. And I hope that clears that up for people,
Same
because I'm
here.
still hearing that to this day. And so I thought about it. And I thought, well, while we're on here and we can clear up some stuff, maybe all heads put together, we can clear up some stuff. Okay. So,
Right.
all right.
Well,
Yes,
the
smart,
thing
Smiley.
is,
Yeah.
with certain channels, it won't matter
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they
Mm-hmm.
hear what they want to hear, and then they
Because
create
they're wrong. They've been wrong and they
what
just
they
can't
want to hear.
they double down on
They're going to double down. Mm-hmm.
every blessed thing. At some point you're just going to have to throw the towel in and say, "Look, I was wrong."
Right.
Yeah.
It takes a real big person in here to actually admit that they're wrong. And face it, sometimes these people are just they never graduated high school mentally.
Yeah, what you know what? But
Yeah,
all of
we're
us
all
face
wrong at times.
all of us
We
face
are. That's
plant on a
called being
freaking
human,
a
Freedom.
story.
Well, the lack of transparency has caused us to have a lot of speculation. It's human nature to fill those blanks in. We're just going to want, when we're searching for answers, we're trying to figure it out, and then the information we have is incorrect or incomplete. So, you know, there's a lot to that. And it's been from the very beginning.
And I will state this as well. Whether the sheriff's department clears me or not, my son is my priority. And when I want information on are you still looking for my son, you better tell me yes or no.
And never
And
mind,
it
you
got
have
to the point
it's
that,
right.
Tony was like, Tony, ask them if they're any further than they were the last time. And when they can't answer that question, my son's missing. I'm going to assume the worst. I pray and I hope every day that the light at the end of the tunnel is my son, because that's it. I
Right.
want to find my son. I want to bring him home, and I want to protect him because other people didn't. And I have the records that state that he wasn't. And it doesn't matter who it states in there. The fact is that these filings is because two agencies failed my son. They failed communication, they failed procedures, and they failed policies.
And sometimes policies need to be changed.
Yeah.
Protocols need to be changed. And,
And they need to be enforced.
Tennessee doesn't have a good track record at all of finding the missing. So, you got to do something different to get different results, and that's what you're doing, Seth.
I see the problem. I've been living the problem, and before we even got to this filing stuff, I've been working on Sebastian's law.
Right.
I've been working on a law that helps fix the problems and puts oversight on some of these agencies to fix the problem and make our children a priority.
Hmm.
Too many of these organizations, I've seen them fail the children, and they're supposed to be for the children.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
that's besides being upsetting, it leads to the downfall of civilization.
It's bad for everybody, especially the kids.
Right.
Mm.
But these are some of the things that kind of pushed you over the edge in why you wanted to bring this suit, is because a lot of that communication, like you said, we, not only you, Tony's asked, I know we've asked publicly here on our channels, many of us, are we any further than we were the day that this was reported? Basic information we don't even have.
What
Did he
what
even
you
make it
can't do
home from
is that
the Texas Roadhouse? I mean, that is basic information that you would think that they would have no problem. It doesn't go to the integrity of the investigation. Did he make it home or not? Yes or no?
Right.
and I can't even get
100%.
for that. So I mean,
And oh
at
my gosh,
times,
can you imagine if at this moment they don't even know if he made it home or not? And we're 2.5 years into this case. I'm just, just the things that floor me when it comes to the questions we have, and we have no answers. Everything that any answer that anybody gives you is speculative because it's not coming from the mouths of babes. It's not coming
Right.
from them.
Right. We've all speculated, and even myself, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe he didn't make it home. Jen, you have two maps, one that he made it home, one that he didn't.
Right.
You
And
know,
and
Yeah.
and many of us have been divided. We have great content creators that are looking at this very analytically. And it's like, wait a minute, it's just, we all do it. Wait a minute. We don't even know. We have no factual basis to even say walked in that door. Who told us that he made it home?
Right.
Katie.
Right.
she went right in the garage,
Well, I
allegedly.
to be fair, I mean, there is that video out there that saying Weatherford did say that. And in my opinion, I understand everybody has their own opinions, but in my opinion, to be fair, and Seth knows I feel this way, and it wouldn't really matter. I mean, I do feel he made it home, but that's just my opinion and my opinion
I
only.
I'm I join you, so you're not
That's
alone
a
in
fair
that. But I
point.
do
That's a
I
fair
do
point,
know
Steph.
that there are many people, a trusted, very good content creator. Mama Rissa's in here tonight. I know that her and Hindsight have been working diligently, exploring that avenue, and they're not wrong for doing so. You
No,
know,
nobody's
no,
wrong. Everybody
yeah,
has their right to their opinion and their thoughts and whatever they think. We're not all
right.
going to think the same. We're
But
not
not
all
only,
going to
but it
agree.
does need to be explored, because at the end of the day, what person of actual factual status has said that he even made it home? But let's get back to some of this stuff that's in the report before we get too far, off
Off the reservation.
off the
Yeah.
reservation.
Back to the
Yeah,
farm.
off the reservation. And I think that it's super important because a lot of these things, let's be honest, we've been deceived. Even you have been deceived. I mean, if we were to talk about deception here, you were deceived by lack of communication by the Department of Children and Family Services is one thing. And even though we're probably not going to go into that case too much tonight, you equally we found out, which we did not know, that Sumner County Sheriff's Department were involved in both of those investigations. So they were well aware of
See,
these
from
two
my
investigations when
understanding,
your
and every
child.
time that I've seen anything with any child protection agency or Department of Children's Services, you know, if you look at some of the videos, even on YouTube, when they show up, they have law enforcement with them
Mhm.
because they're a government agency, but they don't have the authority that law enforcement has. All right. So when I asked them, you guys weren't involved with these DCS record, DCS, like I, and
Right.
I couldn't get a straight answer. But the first time that I was notified about anything, it was from a the security resource officer at his middle school, and they called me on the phone.
So the problem started at high school.
Well,
That
no, the thing is the school resource officer called me. I came in. That gentleman spoke to me like 30 or 45 minutes by myself,
Gotcha. I misunderstood you.
you know, and that's when I told them about what happened in California. And I told them he needs help. He needs the help that I can't give him professionally. I mean, I'm trying to help him as much as I can as his dad, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. You know, he needs help. And he didn't start getting the mental health appointments until after that.
So
And that was the last time.
3 days prior, him going missing, he had a doctor's appointment
Good point.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had an appointment on Monday.
on Monday.
That was
Yeah,
canceled on a Friday.
that was
Oh,
canceled
yeah.
on Friday.
Which is, again, it comes back to
Right.
blowing our mind
Oh,
because
I see, Steph. Thank you for clearing that up.
he disappeared on Monday. How did she foresee he would not be able to make it to that appointment on Friday?
I don't really want to talk about her.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay. Um,
So the appointment, was that a mental health appointment?
Yeah, he was having 2 or 3
Okay,
appointments every week.
okay.
Not to mention there was at-home visits too. And when he was up here, they did at-home visits here.
Let's
There
say
were
Okay.
that's
times that his appointment on Friday for me to pick him up, I would be there and Sebastian would stay there for, at the house for 30, 45 minutes to have his appointment with her. And then we would leave their house to come up here.
so I went ahead and just asked one of my AI programs, Are there laws in Tennessee that criminalize physical punishment of a disabled person? And it says yes, Tennessee has several criminal statutes that apply when a disabled person is physically punished or abused, plus the general assault law that protects everyone. Here's how the framework fits together. The most directly relevant law in Tennessee is Code Section 3915.510, which makes it an offense to knowingly abuse an elderly or vulnerable adult. For this statute, abuse means the infliction of physical harm in a vulnerable adult or person. That's not to a child. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. Let's see. What about child? They're talking about adults. Hold on. And I will read that, but I want to see about the child. What about a child?
And I'm under the understanding that this is, so basically your attorney has went over Tennessee and this is everything that he is doing is federal. So
Correct.
like the Title IV, I'm thinking that is the Family First, where the Family First Act, Preservation Act, the Title IV.
Title IV is Title IV is when the individual that is at extreme risk is put up for non-custodial care or foster care.
Oh, where
Yeah,
you're
I
talking
read
about with the
Right.
statement that he was in grave or in imminent danger of being removed. Are you talking
right.
about that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's
Oh,
a
okay. I
statute
didn't
that
know
would have
that that
had
was
that
what it was.
happen. Mm-hmm.
Okay, here is what it says. It says, for disabled children, the governing law in Tennessee is Child Abuse Statute 3915.401. Rather than a vulnerable adult statute I described earlier, it protects any child under 18, and disability affects the particular picture more than it changes the statutory text. The core offense, knowingly, other than by accidental means, treating a child under the age of 18 so as it inflicts injury, is child abuse. The penalty turns primarily on the child's age. If the child is older than 8, it's a class A misdemeanor. If the child is 8 or younger, it's a class D felony. There's a parallel provision for abuse or neglect that adversely affects the child's health, and welfare, which is a Class A misdemeanor generally, but a Class E felony if the child is 8 or under. The offense escalates to aggravated child abuse under Section 3915.402 when the child abuse results in serious bodily injury to that child, a deadly weapon or a dangerous instrument is used, or an act was especially heinous or anything. I don't think that is. I just wanted to see if him admitting that he gut punched or swatted in the gut a disabled child, if that would rise to the level for child abuse, for a child abuse charge. And it sounds like it is a misdemeanor. So in reality, it sounds like them failing to charge Chris after admitting abuse of your son would be negligent too. I mean, there is, that's all I was looking at. I was just trying to answer my own question without asking you too much about it. But what kind of, what do you believe has been done, if anything, that you can share?
I've had tips and stuff come in, and my personal experience with the tips that have come in, there's a reason why I go to these places.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why I speak to the police department, or the sheriff's department, or both, and wherever these tips are, and I hand them flyers that are from the FBI, and then I speak to them. And Miley, you sent me a tip.
Yeah.
And when you sent me that tip, at that point in time, I was still in communication with Sumner County.
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
sent that to them, and I waited 2 days and drove up there.
Yeah.
And I
No,
spoke to
you
the
didn't wait
sheriff.
2 days. You went, but you was waiting on them.
I waited 2 days for them for Sumner County, but I drove up there and saw that the building was closed. Contacted the sheriff's department. They came
There.
and met me. You know, like literally, I got out and they were like, "Are you armed?" And I was like, "Yes." And they're like, "Okay, before we speak, do you mind if we pat you down?" And I'm like, "Whatever means to make you feel comfortable, that is fine because I need your
It's
help and I need your."
crazy.
Right.
Well, it's a crazy world since there certain things have gone on. You law enforcement cannot expect anybody that walks up to them to be friendly
Hmm.
with good purpose.
But and that sheriff was on the phone with me, a three way, or not a three way, but standing there with Seth. It was wild. But what happened and led to the tip, that was real, wasn't it, Seth? That was
It
wild.
was. I
And
mean, that's when I found out that the person was making a trip to Mexico. The
and I
law
think that's where a
enforcement,
lot of the Mexico stuff
My.
started coming in.
the sheriff's department had no idea who Sebastian was, and this was still
That's
in
scary.
Tennessee. This was still in Tennessee, and they had no idea who Sebastian was. I literally put them in. I gave them the number for Sumner County. I gave them the number for Brandon. I gave him the number for my TBI contact, and I gave him the number for the FBI contact. And when I called and followed up a week later with them, they hadn't heard anything from Sumner County or TBI, and the only person that they had heard from was the FBI.
To this day,
Wow.
I still tell Seth, please, I would go there and still look around. That's how serious this tip was.
And Smiley, excuse me, I'm sorry, guys. Smiley, I know that that is Chris Proudfoot. Uh, also, I will just say he confessed to you on your show that he struck Sebastian with a belt. I don't know how hard the strike was, but it's just another admission, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the law enforcement has that whole video, and I will say they did come back and take three pieces out of it, but or timestamps or whatever. But they have that whole thing, so whatever they did with it or are doing with it or whatever,
I've
I
had other tips that have been
yeah.
in Kentucky, and quite literally communicated with the police department and sheriff's department up there. They said that they had that the person that they saw looked like Sebastian, and he was living in a tent on property on this person's farmland, like right off the road. And the information that they gave me sounded like Sebastian. They told me that what they saw around the tent, and I was like, well, I know my son. I know he likes that type of canned food because I bought it for him before. And I turned around and I gave all this information to Sumner County, and they would not even go up there and retrieve anything to do DNA or whatnot out of the tent that was still there and the cans that were there. And I'm like, there's cans, there's disposable utensils, and a tent. You should be able to get DNA out of any of this stuff, and you've already taken DNA stuff with DNA on it that has Sebastian, so there's no reason why, you know, and they never did. I
So
I had to have my PI go do it because I know that if I go up there and get evidence, then it's considered tampered with. It's fruit of the forbidden tree, and it, when I go to places, I speak to law enforcement. It's the first thing I do. I call law enforcement whenever I enter into the county, so that way they know I'm there and they know why I'm there. And then I ask to meet them at wherever location I'm going.
It
And I
seems
give them a ride.
incomplete, in my opinion. Incomplete.
And this is what I've been facing. No telling what Sebastian's going through.
Do you think that? Well, I shouldn't be asking you those questions. Never mind.
Well, yeah. Don't ask my opinion. Tony's looking at
I already felt him in the back of smacked me in the back of my head.
He done whistled in my ear. Hey, so
I'm trying to kind of wrap my head. How much did you actually know before you received the reports from the Department of Children and Family Services? I mean, because there's stuff about Christopher
it's like
whacking him and
I knew none of this. When I state that I knew about the first one, I know about the first one because I spoke to the resource officer.
yeah,
I
that's what you
never
were
spoke to
earlier.
TCS.
Oh, so even the first time they never contacted you.
No, the only reason I know about everything in the first
Okay.
one was because
Yeah.
the school's resource officer contacted me. Deputy Rogers with Sumner County contacted me, and I thought it sticks in my head because that's my last name. So when I walked in, it was, hello, Deputy Rogers. I'm Deputy Rogers. Nice to meet you. You know, and it was there. And I spoke to him for 30, 45 minutes, and Chris and Katie both were called in by the school and the resource officer.
Well,
Thank you for clarifying, because that was a big, great
Yeah.
question,
But
Betty, because that was a big one.
TCS never contacted me. So everything in those reports I knew nothing about until my attorney was able to get them. And they're redacted.
but the stuff that you did read was heartbreaking. And then you couldn't even talk about it, and you still haven't been able to talk about it. I mean, this is really as much as I think that the most that has come out, and I think this is. I'm sure your attorney was scant because of the sensitivity of this case, and what the little bit is put in here is fairly shocking. I mean,
yeah, that's why I told you I could talk about what's been that's in the filing itself because it's now public record.
right.
But anything else I can't talk about because
It's not here, and yeah.
and I'm not allowed to because yeah.
So so my understanding is when Eric Craddock told the public, I mean, based upon this, and it's kind of in here, but maybe you can clarify just a little bit more. When he told the public that they're now switching gears and going from the ground search to more of the investigative side of things, I think was almost verbatim the words he used, the investigative side. That's when they basically just turned off the spigot. Like nothing more was really done from that point forward. I mean, we had what was his name? Widener guy.
Ken.
Ken Widener out there saying in his, 30 years or 40 years of doing this, he's never had a case where the dogs didn't pick up a scent. And, we're hearing those things. And then we're finding out that the case is just, they didn't get anything. So it's just like, okay, well, what do we do now? I guess we go to a different side of the investigation. Okay, well, now they're on a different side of the investigation. What does that what happens from that point. Usually they go to the reports, who came in and out of the neighborhood. They start looking for isolated areas to search. We've seen that many times where they pulled back on the main search, but then like a week or two later, or 3 weeks or a month later, now they're out there on a targeted search looking for something that they heard or saw based on the leads. We never saw any of that happen anywhere in Tennessee. It's like as if the when the so anyways, coming back to it, did they do anything? Did they follow any additional leads after that first 8 days that you know of?
I haven't. I can't answer that question with anything except for I don't know.
Yeah. And that's pretty bad because
Now, what I can tell you, from what my understanding is that even while the ground search was going on by Sumner County and 7 other agencies, which I appreciate all the agencies that came in to search for my son on the ground, nothing came from it. But
that we know of.
Right.
They didn't find my son.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters to me, is finding my son and bringing him home. And but I know that TBI was involved because they're the ones who issue the Amber Alert.
What were you hopeful that their involvement would bring in more resources that would locate your son?
I was hopeful for anything. I'm still hopeful for stuff. I accept, and that for me not to be
Mm-hmm.
is a disservice to my son. To not accept help is a disservice for the missing.
Mm-hmm.
My son is missing. I need him.
Because they
He's
did turn down services, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Can you name a few?
Marshalls is a good one that they turned down.
The U.S. Marshals. That was pretty
US
shocking.
Marshals, yeah. They turned down the cold case. They've turned down a few other PIs that I had employed to help. Sumner County won't even speak to them, and they're ex-law enforcement.
Right. Wow. So they've just turned down a whole mess of
Well, while the ground search was going on, TBI has stated that they were investigating it criminally.
Well, but my question is if TBI was involved and they were a resource to Sumner County, and Sumner County was asking them, are we doing anything? Why would they not point out that they never turned the house into a crime scene, or they've never properly did this or never properly did that? I mean, it's still shocking to me to this day that there was never a crime scene tape ever put up around that house. Not once.
No, when I showed up, nobody asked who I was or anything else. I spoke to the dog people. They didn't know who I was either.
Can you tell us again who exactly was there when you showed up?
No, it's nothing to do with the filing right now.
Okay.
Only thing I want to speak about is the agencies. I don't want to talk about anything else.
Okay.
Sorry.
So in other words, they didn't want to bring anybody in to help with the criminal side. Is that what I'm hearing? Or is
And
that
the
right?
case, yeah, that sounds right. And the case losing its momentum as soon as they stopped the ground search. But they had thousands. The problem I'm having here is they had thousands of leads allegedly, and you would think that after the ground search they would be following these leads. Those leads should have produced, even if it was like a left field type of issue, it should have produced at least one searchable area. And they've never searched again. And they've never talked about the case publicly again. And then 2 years went by. I mean, that's kind of the problem I think that I have. I'm absolutely confident that it has a lot to do with what frustrates Seth about this.
I mean, they kept the construction going. They kept everything. I mean, it's like,
They shut nothing
uh,
down. They took
they
no
acted like he was
precautions.
they acted like he was a 5-year-old with autism looking in ponds, that were just the whole search was just, I don't know, was just to see
Oh,
the new construction continuously going. I was
Seth, did
taken
they
back by that.
ever ask you? I'm sorry,
Crazy.
you just brought up something, Jen. Did they ever ask you about your son while you were there? That any time there, like his behaviors, even when they
Actually,
were starting to look for like in the ponds and stuff. Did they ever ask you would he be in the pond or would he go toward the pond?
no. They literally asked me what his favorite song is.
I mean, he's 15 and they're playing Eye of the Tiger like he's a kid, like he's little boy. It just that seemed weird to me. And Ken Widener kept talking about his experience with autistic children. Well, yeah, I mean, autistic children that 4 or 5 years old that are not maybe not verbal, or I don't know. It just that seemed very weird to me. And I think that the protocols, their policies and their protocols are so outdated. They
I
don't
don't
have
think
the
they're
proper
outdated.
training.
I think you're
They
giving
don't
them
have the
too much
proper
credit.
training. They don't have the proper training. I think that Seth's attorney was correct, Mr. Ritchie, when he said that they are amateur, definitely amateur, and that's what it looked
Mm,
like to me. It looked like an amateur, even
I
though
will
there was
tell
a
you
lot of
right.
agencies there.
I'll tell you right now that I know I upset them at the very beginning. When they were like, "We want everybody to stay here." Well, I I don't want to be at my ex's house. Okay, I don't want to be there. Jen, you know me.
Right.
I'd rather be in my truck than even
Yeah.
in my house. All
Yeah.
right, because if in my truck, I'm on the move. I'm going.
you would rather eat sawdust.
Hmm.
No,
Well, but
no,
they
I'm
should
not a
have
truck
treated the
driver.
house like a crime scene. They shouldn't have everybody up at the house,
But I
contaminating
spent
the
more
last
I think
place
that
it
they
time.
should have
was.
preserved it. Maybe not as a
They
crime
should
scene,
have.
but
Yeah,
preserved
they should have preserved it.
everything.
Even if
Thank you,
he
Yeah,
was a
Jen. Yeah,
runaway till
true.
they figured out what was
True.
going on, although I never will
exactly.
believe he ran away. I won't never
Exactly.
believe that.
I spent
No.
more time at the command center trying to get information on where to go look than I did at that house. And it was to the point that they literally approached me one of the times I pulled in from looking because I was driving around, windows were down, I was screaming Sebastian's name. I was going anywhere and everywhere, met some people who did not know the child was missing and let them know that he is missing and pulled up so they could see pictures of him. And it got to the point that Sumner County approached me and stated, "You need to stop being here at the command center."
Yeah, that's
Well, what am I
that's so.
supposed to do? My son is missing. I'm going to go look for him. I don't know where he's at.
You just wanted to do something.
I
Listen,
can't sit on my hands and not do anything. And they're
Yeah,
like,
I don't
"Well,
blame you.
you're coming in and you're looking at Caltopa," and I'm not. I'm like, and you have it set up outside the building to begin with, so anybody could pull in and look. They went as far as contacting my job to let them know that I was wearing my coat from work so that I would receive a write-up. But there was news crews everywhere, and I was told not to do any interviews by Chief Deputy Craddock. He told us not to do any interviews. So I don't want to look like somebody out of, the whatever, walking into the command center. Everybody's in uniforms or, you know, for their agency and stuff like that. So I had my sheriff hat on and my coat. Not my shirt, not my pants, not my boots, not the rest of, and it was cool. Like it was cool enough that you needed to have a coat. And they contacted my boss and to write me up for wearing my coat.
So you just got off from work. You got this worse news, and you just kind of feel like they were out to get you from the start? I mean,
I don't feel they were out to get me. I felt that they felt like they didn't like somebody looking over their shoulder
yeah,
to see what they're doing. But it's my son.
yeah,
That's kind of that pompous ego crap that we always talk about. The we
right, right,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Please help me find my son. But when it comes down to what you're doing, I'm looking to see what you're doing because I'm looking for my son too.
yeah.
So
They
when I
probably,
see the big screen up there and they're showing Caltopa, and I'm like, okay, I really don't know much about how this county is laid out, but I'm pulling up the county map and then I'm looking at Caltopa and I'm like, well, nobody has searched here or here or here. And I jump in my truck and I go search those areas in my vehicle because they told me if you're not going to stay in here at the house and you're going to search, do it from your vehicle
yeah, in
because
my
the last thing we want is for you to go missing while we're searching for your son.
yeah,
It's
in my
understandable.
opinion, it sounds a little bit egotistical, and it sounds like they felt a little bit intimidated as well. You know,
I mean, obviously they felt intimidated because Sheriff Craddock asked me to put in an application and come work for it.
yeah,
I'm sorry, sir.
Yep.
I'm not going to work for you. If you were to have found my son and done a proper investigation and stuff of that sort and not had your ego or whatever it is when you're dealing with me, that would have showed me some professionalism. But I don't need to show you professionalism. I am a parent of a missing child. I am extremely emotional about this. I cannot be involved with what's going on. And that's a conflict of interest if I put your badge on.
exactly.
let me ask you this: how do you so how do you feel about CPS? Were they not supposed to? California, should they have not had those records in Tennessee when Tennessee come and notified?
State child agencies do not communicate with each other.
Okay,
Now, in order for you either have to have them or you have to have an attorney from one state to be able to get them and send them to an attorney of another state that
no,
you
but
employed both.
no, but what I mean is like when CPS was called in Tennessee
Right.
and they didn't notify you. Usually when they come out, they know everything about everything more than you know about yourself.
I've never spoken to DCS here.
I no, I understand that. That's not what I'm saying. When they come out about Sebastian, they all that was Katie was still his mother. They would have had whole kits and caboodles about Sebastian, whether you were in the picture or not. They should have picked up the phone and said, "We're calling his dad. Where's his dad?" Is that
Yes.
so? Why did that not happen? I mean, in your opinion,
In California
no.
and
From
here.
Tennessee, they should have had all those records from California.
I believe that they were able to get those records from California after the SRO from his school had the meeting and communication with us. Because from my understanding, with what I have read, DCS here has read that information from California.
All right, let me ask you this: If do you think if they had have contacted you in Tennessee and you would have known about what was in those records, that you would have your son
I
home?
don't I think that if they had contacted me, I wouldn't know any of y'all. I'd be still living my best
Sadly.
life with my son.
Mm.
I mean, literally, I'd be spending weekends fishing with him, and be spending plenty of time playing cards, playing tournaments with him, playing D&D, and I would not be at my house right now at 8 o'clock at night in front of my computer talking to people about the fact that he's missing, because he wouldn't be missing. Right now, we would be at the game store because it's open until midnight, and we D&D until midnight. We spend 4 or 5 hours playing D&D. It's where me and him should be at right now, unless of course he didn't want to. But the greatest thing about D&D with Sebastian and with me is that you get tired of playing one character, you just make another one. So it's never the same thing over and over. It's just,
It's a shame.
I shouldn't be
Yeah,
here.
shame.
I shouldn't be filing a lawsuit against these entities. I should none of this.
It's not about money, is it, Seth? It's not one bit about money.
Mm-mm.
Take everything I have. I don't care. I just want my son. That's all I want.
I
I
understand.
asked my attorney about. I was like, "What's up?" I did ask him because I was like, first thing I was like, my son is worth more than this $10 million. Why did you stop at that? And he was like, well, it's not about what your son's worth. And I was like, well, that's obvious because my son's worth more than all the money in the world. And he was like, the point of what we're asking for is to draw attention to how serious this is.
It is so serious that we have got to have
That's how
Sebastian's.
he explained it to me. And I said, well, you're the attorney. This is your wheelhouse. It's not mine. Even being on YouTube is not my wheelhouse.
Well, law is not my wheelhouse, but I can say that people are taking it seriously. It seems,
Yes.
in my opinion, that they are taking it seriously now. It's a very serious matter when we see this filing. There is nothing pleasant about it.
No, what it shows is failure of the Department of Children and Family Services to remove a child from a dangerous home. And it shows law enforcement willingly knowing that there was abuse going on, have enough, according to the Tennessee statutes, to make an arrest of Chris Proudfoot for at least a misdemeanor. And still to this day, they have not arrested that man for a misdemeanor that he acknowledged doing. He spit it out of his own mouth that he did
Yeah.
it.
Yes, Betty. Yes. Yes,
I
indeed.
took a belt to my son's buttocks, and with one slap on his closed buttocks. I believe that's exactly what he stated. I just
Yeah.
Yeah. He said it a couple different
he
times and
stated
ways. Like
it,
give him
and
one lick,
obviously
one.
it's in the filing. Anything that's in the filing that has parentheses around it, it comes straight out of the filing, out
And
of
straight out of
report.
the report, the reports, the
Yes,
DCS reports, those
Good to know.
quotations and parentheses, those are direct excerpts from
from the
the
reports.
reports, the DCS reports, DCF, whatever it's called. Wow.
Okay, that's good to know. So when we get into that, those
So
pieces
let
are.
me read. Actually, let me read some of those directly out of the report. Then I've got I got the stuff right here.
Oh,
So let
thank
me
you.
just read it directly out of the report.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up
Uh,
on my computer. I could read some of it, but
I've got to get past all the
I'm not
language
reading.
here. Okay. So the first thing, minor child 3 times a week. Um, I think a 16 is going to be the most. Let's see. Factual allegations. So these are the factual allegations. That the history of abuse and vulnerabilities were known to law enforcement, and these aren't the quotations. Hold on, where are the quotations? Okay, here's one. I don't want to use that. Hated that. Oh, here it is. Neighbors reported that Proudfoot, and when you look back on 16B, Christopher Proudfoot is considered Proudfoot. So when you see Proudfoot on here, they're specifically referring to Chris specifically. And they say under 16D, neighbors reported Proudfoot, and they put in exact quotations of what the neighbor said, hated the child and wanted the child to die. And then the grandmother reported the stepfather often called Sebastian's names and would degrade him. Hey, Seth, let me, if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer this, but it is in the report. Is the grandmother your mother or his mother?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. And then this right here, this is another one out of the report. DCS determined, they put this in quotations or in quote marks, at serious or imminent risk of removal from Proudfoot's home under Title 9E candidacy program.
Title 4E. So that's
Is that 4E?
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I was.
I thought it was
Yeah,
9.
that's what I wanted you to read.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. It's an X. It's an X. Sorry, I'm trying to. I got my Roman.
So the
numerals.
Title 4E, what I'm under the impression of. Let me look. Hold on. Title 4E is actually Family First Prevention Services Act. So Family First Prevention Services. So they failed to prevent what happened. I mean, they failed in so many ways.
Right. So he was. These are in quotation marks. So these are in This is in a report somewhere that this is actually in the report that he was at serious or imminent risk of removal. And my big problem is
For
Mr.
non-custodial custody.
To non-custodial custody.
Or
Wow.
foster parents, which means they should have immediately contacted me, and there would have been no more reports because he would have been here.
Oh my God.
He would have been safe.
Yeah.
He'd be hiding underneath his bed reading a book or playing his video games. He'd be here.
All preventable. All preventable.
Yeah, what took my breath away when I read that is that what if they would have just taken him and you didn't even know? I mean, they're not telling you anything. They're not calling you. They're not, conveying any of this stuff to you.
Great point, Jen.
What would have prevented them from just taking him and not even letting you know?
What did?
Well, it sounded like that's what they were about to do.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Right.
It sounds like if they were at the point. So because I can hear how it's going to be spin right now. It sounds like they were at the point. You know, they didn't come to this agreement, Seth and all them, whatever they were doing before, and Seth said, wait a year, blah, blah, blah. Look, if they would have called Seth and Seth would have said, hypothetically, if he would have said, I can't, I need time, I don't have whatever, then they were at the point, they would have put Sebastian in a foster home. That's the point it sounds like they were at. But see, that wouldn't have happened if they would have contacted Seth. Seth would have had him by now.
I find it awfully interesting.
They could have contacted me and told me that, and I'd been like, "You need to have the sheriffs there by the time I get there, and I'll be there in an hour." Like, I might have cops following me because I'm going to hit the interstate, and I ain't doing less than 90 till I get there.
Well, yeah.
And I stop at 90 because there's a regulator on my truck. I can't help it.
How often do you reach out? Wait, maybe you can or cannot tell me. Maybe this goes. How often were you reaching out to law enforcement and them not returning your phone calls?
Multiple times a week.
Yeah. Okay.
My son's missing.
Yeah.
every
Do you know
day.
how many times? Do you know how many times, if any? Well, never mind. You don't want to talk about that. Um,
That's a good question. When exactly did he qualify for the Title 4E?
That's not released at the filing, so I can't state that date.
yeah, it's not in the filing.
Jen over here trying to get me to go to jail. I don't look good in orange or with silver bracelets.
What am I doing?
Got the wrong person for orange, honey.
I know. I walk in. I was into Jennifer Coffin Daffers. I walk in earlier, and all I hear is Seth saying, "What are you trying to do? Get me thrown in jail?" What's going on here?
I done told you, Betty, you don't look good in orange and you don't look good in stripes either, honey.
No, no, no.
Stop it.
I'm too fat for stripes, thank you.
Jeez.
Stop, they'll be making memes with the little hat stripe on top. Stop it.
Oh no, Smiley.
You look, you
Seth
look more like that beefy burger. Pay me today. Can I give you a hamburger tomorrow?
What bothers me is that, like the the punch, the slap in the stomach, from wearing a belt, that right there
Well,
too
we
is
don't
just
know if that no, you're crossing two things. We don't know what that was for. All we know is Chris told us on Smiley Story World that he popped him on the buttocks with a belt over a belt, but we're
One
finding
time,
out here that he ended up
right.
swatting him in the stomach, and we don't even know why he swatted him in the stomach. It didn't legend here what the swat
Yeah,
was
he's supposed
for.
to. Well, it just says that you're supposed to be wearing a belt.
Oh, is
Belt.
that what it is? Is the belt part
Yeah,
in
Yes,
here?
that's
Oh,
what's
okay,
yeah,
weird.
okay. I
he
thought
got punished for not wearing a belt.
belt. So,
Well,
Mhm.
so he
you know,
did
he's
He
lie
not
to
makes
wearing
you,
a
the
belt,
story.
Smiley.
but you're getting on to him for soiling himself, and he's
Uh,
losing. He can't do all that and try to go to the bathroom.
that's where the
It's just
pull-ups come in, Jen. You're right.
yeah. I mean, it's
So
just
he was doing it because Sebastian was to wear a belt with the pull-ups. Now this is what's sick is that he lied, and he told the story the way he wanted to tell it, his own narrative. And but the real narrative, the real story that I guess was when this all transpired, was that he was to wear the belt. When he lifted up, Sebastian lifted the shirt up, no belt, whack got him
I think that
in
for
the
me, I
stomach.
mean, this is
That's
just what's
why.
been recorded, what he has said, and what is here. There's no telling how many times that happened. I'm just,
Mhm.
it's just so
Exactly.
Well, it
sad.
seems like he always seemed to have an answer.
Hmm.
It seemed like he always had, and not only that, but this is what really surprises me because we were all at the court. I don't know how many of you guys were with me. Jen, you might have been there. Seth, I think you were there when we left court one day, and we look out the window of the fifth floor, and they are all just in each other's throats.
Yeah, I
How
remember
many
that.
people? How many people were there? You were there,
I
Jen.
was there. I saw
Seth,
that.
you were there.
No, ma'am, I was not there.
Okay. Well, the reason why I'm saying this is because I want you guys to remember when we approached, or somebody went into Queen Bee's channel and said while he was live that because I was talking about it on my channel, saying, "Oh my gosh, there was like." We saw the freaking bulges coming out of the side neck of Kathy Bauer's socks. Remember that? I'm like, I can see her vein,
Yeah.
you
and they
know,
were
you know that
Wow.
not to interrupt you, but for just one brief second, Betty, you know that they have cameras inside and outside of the courthouse that record audio and visual.
yeah.
So I literally reached out to Brandon and I was like, maybe you should listen to the conversation that was happening outside. It might give you some more information. I'm pretty sure they never did.
They probably never did. They're lazy. They're
And
lazy.
that's their own department that's running the security there.
Yeah. Well,
That's not an investigation if you're not willing to dig and look for answers.
do everything that you can do. Right. Exactly. But anyways, getting back to that. Well, he was on Queen Bee's channel at that later that night, and or later that day, and somebody went in there to address him, and he just smooth as butter, just lies slap through his teeth. I mean, it was so believable, and I'm like, ooh, he's good.
Well,
Like he's really good.
Peter
Chris
Hyatt had
Proudfoot is a
choice
seasoned
words about
liar.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, Peter Hyatt had choice words about him to be very careful when you're speaking to him because he does
He's
not answer
good.
questions. Like you ask a question, he does not answer the question, but he's slick about how he'll beat around the whole question and he'll change how he answers where he's not answering
And
anything.
he did just that because he slid right into that. He goes, you should know Southern mamas. Do you think that Southern mamas would allow their son to talk to them like that? Well, I didn't see her backhand you. And you, it was going on for quite some time. We're all
Wow.
there was all of us, and we were just smushed. Like the whole fifth floor just had all of our faces lined
We're
up,
all over at the window going,
just looking out,
if
just
only
looking
we
down
had
at
our
this whole
phones.
thing going on down there, and they're just going at it. I'm like, oh my god, they're about to hit each other, guys. They're gonna hit each other. They're gonna.
You do realize that I reached out and I told them while we were there, I was like, you realize that if I walk out there right now,
Mm-hmm.
you will
And
have
they wouldn't leave.
absolute fucking brawl. Excuse my language, Tony.
But that's
Because
why.
the first one to swing at me will be the first one I bust their head open.
But remember, that's the reason why we were looking out the window, because we couldn't leave until they had left, and we're waiting for them to leave, and we're like, have they left yet? And it's like, oh my gosh,
Nope.
are you guys watching this?
We couldn't leave until the
Wow.
deputy came up and was like, hey, we got them all, you
Yeah.
know, out. And I was like, appreciate it. Don't like being here to begin with.
That was insane. But when he was on that channel and they approached him about it, like he wasn't expecting to be approached about it. It was
Right.
just, it was all off guard for him. He wasn't expecting to be asked that question right then on that spot. But he covered it just smooth as butter without skipping a beat. And I watched it in real time, and I'm just thinking to myself, you are one slick SOB.
Like I said,
Mhm.
Peter Hyatt said that anytime he speaks, he creates everything he speaks is him creating his own world.
Yep.
And you have to watch those type of individuals.
Yep.
Because
But Chris is a pathological liar. He's been doing this so long. He's quick on his feet. He's clever. He's smooth. He's conniving. He's cunning.
that was the same time that I saw, Terry Lynn was in the parking garage.
Yeah, she was there too.
Mm-hmm.
When we
Yeah, that
walked
was awesome.
in, but when we walked out, she was with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And 2A and her were over on the side of the building, have a secret conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I wonder what you two are talking about.
Yep. They
What
should have.
what information is a particular PI giving you to tell them?
Wow.
Betty, can you go to 29 on that same one that you're on?
Item 29, like line 29.
Yeah, it's 29. It's right before the second calls of action because 20, I'm sorry, not 20, yeah, 29, where it talks about
29 is
Tennessee.
above the first cause of action.
Yeah, and then so 29, if we could talk about 29 and then the first cause of action that 42 USC substantive due
Due
process.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tennessee ranks 7th nationally in missing person cases, with 991 active cases as of mid 2025, and 924 unsolved cases in NamUs database as of January 2025. The SCSO failures are not isolated, but reflected of a systematic deficiency in how Tennessee law enforcement handles missing person cases. I got to tell you, I've been screaming this since Summer Wells, since 2022. I've been saying that since that, absolutely. And then for everybody at home that wants to know what the first cause of action are, it's 42 USC section. It's a civil rights claim. A 1983 section, and it's substance due process, and it's 14th Amendment deliberate indifference and state created danger. This is, well, it's not too long, it's a few paragraphs. It says, okay, 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution provides that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. In child welfare cases, the applicable standard for substantive due process liability under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 is deliberate indifference. That is, whether the state actor knew of and disregarded a substantial risk of serious harm to the plaintiff, citing a case law, Patel versus Kent School District. Under the state created danger doctrine, the state actor may be held liable under 1893 when the state's affirmative action created or increased the danger to the individual, and cited another case law, DeShaney versus Winnebago County Department of Social Services. Sebastian, as a missing child, was documented with documented disabilities and known history of abuse. And I like how they keep referencing this as known history of abuse, because that is what is proliferated through these reports. And this is what, again, he was about to be removed from the home over. And law enforcement was involved in this before he went missing.
Exactly.
So let's keep going in here. So the missing child was documented disabilities and known history, had a liberty interest in his personal security protected by the 14th Amendment. Rogers has a protected liberty interest in the care, custody, and companionship of his son. This claim is brought on behalf of Sebastian through his father and next friend of Rogers. The state-created danger doctrine requires the state's own affirmative conduct created or increased the plaintiff's exposure to danger, citing case law Kennedy versus Ridgefield City. Defendants' affirmative acts that create or increase the danger to Sebastian includes A, knowing Sebastian's history of SA abuse, and it had been reported and investigated by DCS. B, knowing that Sebastian had a home life that DCS own records showed has been marked by physical and emotional degradation, and stepfathers who neighbors reported the child was hated, that he hated the child and wanted the child to die. And C, for failing to take any action. Defendants under color of the state. So they had all of this in their reports, and they still kept this child in this home with a step parent hating that child and wanting that child to die. I don't know. Like, that's so significant here. It's angering. The defendants.
Infuriating. It pisses me off that some person that's supposed to be taking care of my son, because he married my son's mother, and yet no.
Okay, well, just take a breath. I'm just reading some of the stuff. Defendants acting under color of state were deliberately indifferent to Sebastian's disappearance. This deliberate indifference is evidenced by A, the failure to secure the scene. They failed to secure the scene. We all watched it, and we all agree to that. Whether you're pro Proudfoot or anti Proudfoot, it doesn't matter. We all know the scene was never protected. B, the failure to verify Proudfoot's alibi. Guys, Christopher Proudfoot's alibi was never verified by law enforcement.
Betty, do you mind if I ask you a question? Because you went to the area, right? You traveled there, like, to check on some of that, because we all have known that, but that's some confirmation, in my opinion.
I did a test, and Chris Proudfoot had ample time to get off the phone with Katie. At the time, he got off the phone with Katie, drive to his house, and drive back stay there for 10 minutes, drive back, and still have another 20 to 30 minutes a playtime in his thing. And he would be without any sleep, which was, I think, the way. I mean, even though his supervisor didn't describe him as, without sleep. They described an unusual behavior to the point that they've never kicked him off a job before, and they kicked him off that morning because of his behavior and how erratic he was acting. And I would say that
Mm.
that does kind of bode with maybe no sleep, does it not?
Yeah.
I'm grumpy if I don't have any sleep.
Right.
Burner
So
phones. I mean, he didn't even have to take his phone with him, but
there is,
burner
but
phones. I
this
Burner
mean,
is
phone,
this is
Jen.
all this
Yes.
is all theorization, which I know we're not really
yeah.
going to go down that rabbit hole. But at the end of the day, because it is referenced here, his alibi. We've questioned that alibi since the beginning, and we were told
Mhm.
that we were wrong. And but I can tell you, when I went there, from my experience, in the people I spoke to, the gates are open. People are working at 5 in the morning on the job,
Right.
but it's the people inside the building on the first level where all the lights are. It's dark
Yes.
out there. And so when I talk to some of the people, it's really the plumbers, the electricians, and stuff like that to the building that are getting there at that time of morning. It is not the crane workers. I was told the crane workers don't start showing up until about 6:30, 6:45, and they don't start work until 7. That's what I was told.
That's what I thought. I want thank you because
But I
yeah.
didn't talk to his personal supervisor, but Silver is on the scene, says he spoke to his direct supervisor. And his direct
Hmm.
supervisor concurred everything I said. So I don't know. That's all hyperbole. I mean, we don't have any factual information other than the people that we spoke to saying that. But
That makes
again,
Well,
me
the
it,
feel
law
hard.
enforcement Tennessee, we have way too many cases that haven't been solved, and there's a reason for that. This is
Mhm.
big. This
because
is a
like I
big.
said, it's their training. I've been saying,
Well, on top of this, understand that I called to request the DCS records. All right.
Yeah.
And then I'm told I need to have an attorney. And then my attorney gets them, requests them, gets them, and the caseworker is fired Friday. All in 1 week.
wow. So you can't even speak to the caseworker.
The fact is, why'd she get fired?
Mm-hmm. Because she wasn't doing her job well, or they found some discrepancy. And you know what? There's been a lot, like, these people are just, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but
It's all going to come
anyways,
out. I
getting
mean,
back to this,
it's
it says
discovery.
the failure to verify Proudfoot's alibi. That's huge. C is failure to investigate the non-functioning surveillance cameras. Guys, this is the first time in the history of this case that we finally have some evidence that there were surveillance cameras at the house. Chris kept saying, remember, we kept saying, what is it with the cameras? Because he never really wanted to answer it. And when they did finally answer it, it was a really weird answer, and everybody kept speculating. So did they have cameras or did they not have cameras? And then
Yeah.
somebody's like, oh yeah, well, they had a camera in the garage. Maybe it's the camera in the garage. And we're like, this really is what? So now they're talking about
Exactly.
these cameras apparently were non-functioning surveillance cameras. So why didn't they go with the FBI, use them as a resource to do residual, which they could still do to this day, and
Yeah.
hopefully pray to God we get a Nancy Guthrie out of this? So what did they ever take the cameras? Don't tell me they left these cameras in the house. I mean, that's a failure right there to not secure proper evidence. But this is the first time it says failure to investigate the non-functioning surveillance cameras. Like, I want to do dun 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 because this is the first time we heard
Yes.
there were surveillance cameras on the freaking ground. Dun dun dun
Yes.
dun. Right? And then we got D, the assignment of only one detective, the cessation of press
Mm.
conferences after March 2024, the failure to follow up on tips. Like, we heard there were thousands
Unbelievable.
and thousands of tips that came in. What happened? Where did all
Mm-mm.
those tips go? Who was searching on those tips?
You
This is
know,
why.
Yep.
there's a recording of Craddock out there stating, all tips are welcome. But as soon as the 8 days are done, now it's only legitimate tips. Well, what's the difference? If you have no evidence on where my son is, then why in the hell aren't you going down every one of them? Because I
Yeah, how
sure
do
in
you
the hell
know?
am.
Yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. A tip is a tip is a tip. And even TBI told me that. It doesn't matter. They have to, if a tip comes in, they're supposed to check every
Every
single one
single
of them.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why we're always very very cautious to make sure our audience knows. Don't be calling tips in if you don't. If you are just saying oh this or oh that, then you know they've already got that. They don't need that. They need real evidentiary stuff. That means that you know somebody that knows something or you know something. Those are the types of leads they need. You
You're right.
know.
It does
Um,
narrow over time too. You're right,
you're
Betty.
right.
Because I mean, if it's something they already know, and now we're 2.5 years in,
Yeah.
what's going on here? I mean,
I do
you
know
know,
that when my attorney sits there and states that there's no tip, he's talking about Sumner County didn't offer a tip, a reward, and he's comparing that to the fact that the FBI did offer a reward.
Right. Well,
ooh, that's a good point.
they didn't have a picture of your son behind them, nor did they stand with any part of the family or other members of law enforcement. You know, usually when you have a press conference and you have TBI involved and you have the FBI involved and all these other things, when you have the press conference, you usually have your kind of entourage of big wigs,
They
you know, top
held their
brass.
they held that press
Wow, good point.
conference in their training academy area that has privacy chain link fence with barbed wire or razor wire on the top. Okay,
What in the
and the
world?
only person that they allowed in there was Nick. What's his
Nick
last name?
Barris.
Embarrassed?
Barrett.
I'm just kidding.
That's a violation of constitutional laws too. You can't do that. If you have a press conference,
Because I
then
told them
media's
they're holding a press conference. I'm
Oh,
going to be there, and they told me I would not be allowed in for the press conference
And
because
normally,
that is just shit.
That is
and
crazy.
and
wow.
That is
normally,
crazy.
yeah, any other time, it doesn't really matter what Seth or Katie's deal is or whatever. Normally, the cops would tell you, look, we're going to do a press conference. They would call each one and say, look, we need you as a mother and father here, and even the stepfather, whatever. We just need the family here. We're going to do a press
And not
conference.
only
Can you
that,
come
but
stand here?
they always want them to speak. Like every time you get a parent to
Right.
speak, it's an opportunity for them to put their foot in their mouth or say something or leakage. Why wouldn't they invite? They should have invited Seth. They should have invited Chris and Katie. They should have made all of them give an opportunity to say something so they get them on the record on that freaking that microphone. Like this is so again. You know what? It's because
Mature.
it's exactly that.
Or so
This
the
is
missing person can
unprofessional.
see their face and see that they're looking for them, and if they ran away, it's a plea to for them to,
Well, think about
see
it.
their
We
family.
always see
Who
parents on
left
press
the area?
conferences.
We were
Always.
searching. We were searching, and we had how many people out there? 50 freaking people out there searching for Sebastian, and there was only 2 people that got up and ran to a different state.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get back to this because I keep going back to that because I have some pent up
somebody's
emotion.
coffee is worn off and their ADHD is taken off, and the
So
other three on the panel don't help.
We're
I'm bringing it
supporting.
back. I'm bringing it back. Upon information and belief, so this is kind of possible. Sumner County through SCSO maintains official policies and customs. This is where they're going after Craddock as being the. Wait, I think I missed some stuff. Hold on a second. Hold on. I think I jumped ahead. Hold on. I don't think I was done with my first cause of action. I was not done with my first cause of action. So goes on to say 18 months communication blackout was GH's failure to deploy resources commensurate with the known risk factors. Defendants knew or should have known the extraordinary risk factors in the case through their participation with CPIT proceedings, the DCS records and circumstances of Sebastian's disappearance. Their failure to act with urgency in light of these known risks constitutes conduct that shocks the conscience As a direct and proximate result of the defendant's deliberate indifference and affirmative acts create danger, Sebastian remains a highly at risk missing youth. Last paragraph is plaintiffs are entitled to the compensatory damages. Um, for continuing the deprivation of Sebastian's liberty and Roger's familial association, punitive damages against the individual, defendant's conduct evidencing reckless or callous indifference to federally protected rights, injunctive relief directing the SCSO to immediately reopen and actively prosecute the investigation with adequate resources, etc. So that's that title, that one that you wanted to read, the first cause of action.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the second one is this Monell's doctrine, which is against defendants Sumner County. And then, of course, the training of, Craddock being basically the guy that directs and trains and is responsible for his people, and he failed. And then it goes into the Tennessee victims' rights, which I think is important because a lot of people don't believe that Seth does have rights in a case, and he does.
Yeah, they think that just because the law enforcement has immunity, I mean, the attorneys went over that. He went
And they don't
above.
have true immunity. They don't have true. Nobody has real true immunity if they're in the commission and act of criminal conduct or
It's
conduct.
qualified immunity, which means their immunity still has to be qualified for what they've done.
Right.
And if it doesn't pass qualification, you don't get immunity.
Right. So if they're in the commission of a crime,
Judges
and
have
they're wearing,
absolute immunity, but again, if you can prove that they did something maliciously, they lose that immunity too. So any type of immunity, that word before it has to literally verify the action. And if it doesn't verify the action, it ain't there.
Yeah, your attorney knows what he's doing. That's why he went above the Tennessee law to the federal. I mean,
I actually, well, my attorney filed suit federally too. I think in order for you to sue
Anything
a county,
to do with your civil rights has to be through federal
court, because it's a
that
federal
is your
law.
Bill of Rights and the Constitution.
Mhm.
And those supersede state constitutions and laws.
well, yeah. So what I'm saying is it goes from the state law. So he goes over the state law into the federal law.
Right, because you can't bring a civil rights action because it's a federal.
You
It's
also
federal
can't
civil
take
rights.
a state
Tennessee's tort
agency
law.
to a state court
Yeah.
because the state court is the same level as the state agency.
Yeah. So
That's
guess
why when you
suing
get arrested by law
county.
enforcement, you're taken to the county, and then you're dealing with, city or county courts, not, law enforcement courts.
Right.
And
So-
Seth,
He's on the ball. He's on the ball with it.
and then Seth, also just clear up again. I'll just keep hearing all this stuff. So can you just clear up for everybody? Like, you didn't seek this snazzy lawyer out.
No, this gentleman actually reached out to somebody who had my phone number, and they gave him my phone number and then texted me and said, "Hey, I gave a person your phone number. They want to talk to you about, Sebastian." And then I spoke to him, found out he was an attorney. She just didn't tell me he was an attorney. I don't fault her for that. But then I turned around and I met him in his office and had a 2-hour conversation with him. And, he was like, "I'll take this case."
Yeah. So
He is highly upset on what has happened to Sebastian and the fact that he's not found.
absolutely.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yes, thank God we got him. Yes.
Tony, I mean, we had spoke before that we have stuff, but it's not, no attorney because I reached out to attorneys. I did. A good 6 to 8 months prior, I was reaching out to attorneys because to me, my rights were being violated on trying to find my son, and none in Tennessee would call me back.
Well, and you didn't have a choice because you had to get the records also, right? When you found out that, there was all this involvement with DCS, and that's the only
And see,
way you can get the records.
you know, and the whole thing is that attorney to get those records was a family law, not a constitutional attorney.
Right.
And when
Absolutely.
this guy reached out to me, and after I got to speak to him, you know, he was like, "I ain't from Tennessee." I was like, "Well, there's score number one."
That's right. That's what makes him so great.
He's like,
Helps.
he's got offices in multiple different states, and I mean, he's got the what is it? Not qualifications. He's got the I can't remember now. Brain fart. My brain.
Credentials.
Yeah, the
No,
licensure.
no. I just read up about him. I mean, I know that you posted an article about him the other day.
Yeah, he's the attorney that, for that explosion out in Tennessee that we covered. He's
Yep.
the attorney for the AES no, I think it's AES, Advanced Electronic
He's
Electromagnetic
representing the
Systems.
victims in that.
Yeah, where the whole building was gone. Like everybody was gone.
Everything was vaporized.
And that is such a
There wasn't
conspiracy
even a
right there.
phone. There wasn't a computer. There wasn't like the whole damn building was just
Yeah,
gone.
that's a whole conspiracy right
hell?
there. I hope I'm just I hate that we have to be here, but I'm glad that I'm glad that everything has worked out the way that it has, considering the fact that Sebastian is still not home. And this will help Sebastian's law. It'll help with the discovery. It's going to help, I think, push things forward, and just make people accountable, because maybe at the end of the day, this is going to bring Sebastian home, or it's definitely going to bring justice for whoever is responsible for taking him.
Well,
Gonna help
I
all
just
us people.
I think it's going to be sad because I think we need Sebastian's law, but I just don't think I think it's one of those things that the only way we're going to get it is if we literally force our politicians in several different states to adopt it. Um, then when we get several states, we can start looking at a federal level because they're just. I can tell you that when I went there for some of the issues that I had, it the children are the last that our federal government even. I don't care what they say. I know for a fact that they're last. I had an
Right.
opportunity.
So
I went
sad.
up to Jim Jordan to talk about some of the stuff that's going on, and he basically told me that. Well, at the time, this was several years ago, but at the time, he basically said, we've got, Russia submarines off the coast of Florida, Chinese spies in the air over the Midwest or something like that. I can't remember all the stuff he said. And just basically told me, like, this is not a national security threat at the moment, and we're not paying attention to it. That's basically what I was told.
And they're making a lot of money through these different schools that they're sending the kids to through DCS. Through
UCS is getting a lot of
many
money to
states.
keep making all of these mistakes. You know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We're spending billions of dollars around this country for these programs to keep our children safe, and every time we turn around, it seems like the children are getting ripped out of homes that they shouldn't be ripped out of
And
the home
suffer
or homes.
more and more and more and
Exactly.
more.
Yeah, like I'm seeing homes that need, finding they're ripping kids out of home that need money, not that the children are abused, like the children are being neglected because they don't have the funds, not because the parents are intentionally and willfully abusing them. You're ripping kids out of homes like that, but the homes that they're being willfully abused in that have some means, you're keeping them in there because they have means. It's like,
Yeah,
you should
Exactly.
be throwing it costs us so much money to house children that they should be trying to put money in houses where financial issues are the problem, because it's cheaper to try to support a family than it is to remove a child. But in houses where the children truly need to be removed because of a physical abuse, or mental in other types of abuses that disabled children may be going through, those kids need to be removed from homes. Those are the ones we need to be spending lots of money on for therapy and other things, not these homes that have loving homes. They just need extra finances to make it. And
yeah.
it just seems like they're always get it wrong, and it's like, how do you guys keep getting it so wrong? It
With the
just
amount of money that states are giving the DCS and CPS departments, most of that I'm believing is coming from federal fundage to begin with.
it
The,
is
the
It
state
is.
the state gets the federal funds, and then they spread it out how they see fit.
pretty much
And there needs to be an overhaul on that, and Sebastian's law does it. Then it turn
yeah.
around, you make every state agency. Now you have to be up to date on your training. You have to turn around and you have to prove that you're up to date with your training. You have to comply with these to put all of these files into a national registry, so that way people can't move from one state to another. It would it would it would maximize communication when it's there at the touch of your fingertips.
I agree.
All right. And if the agent is with Sebastian's law, that agency would oversee every one of them to a federal standpoint. And the longer it takes, the less resources they get. So now it's not the government donating the money to the state and the state donating it where they see fit. Those state agencies would literally be dealing with federal oversight on on a basis, period.
Right.
And
They
that's
would
what's
be
needed.
reporting where they spend their money and everything to that agency, to that federal agency, so there's accountability.
Yeah.
Well, here's my problem is that, we just had our 250th anniversary, our birthday, America's birthday of its independence, okay? Of her independence, I should say. And for us and we've gone through a lot of changes over the history of our country, where we had the wild, wild west, and we had, other types of issues throughout. But I'm I feel like when it comes to the children, we should have a better grip on this. Our interstate has never changed. Our interstate child agreements have not changed since, I think, 1968. And we've come a long, far cry from where we were in 1968, from cell phones. I mean, back then we had TVs and house phones. We've got cell phones. We've got all
Radio,
these
radio,
radios.
Radios, yeah.
radios.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
they only had radios in 1968.
I know. I'm saying you're forgetting radios. Radios were the first way of communicating.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, yeah. Well, radios.
Smoke
Okay.
signals. Smoke signals. Here, let me. Canada is talking to us right now.
But I just feel like in all these years we've had a
I
lot
love
of
those
changes.
people in chat from Canada. I'm just saying you could stop with the smoke
The
signals.
lobbying is the lobbying, money, money, money. Y'all, Marsha Blackburn. Let me
about
address this about Marsha Blackburn. 1,000 calls. No, you give her this. It's all about money. It's not about the kids. It's about money. It's about power and control. I
But we've
mean,
had
come on.
corruption throughout our entire history. At every facet of our history, we've had
And
corruption.
it's only gotten worse. I mean,
And it's
Tennessee
only
is
gotten
so
worse.
bad. I've
Right.
lived here all
So
my life. It's so bad. It's only gotten worse.
why would we not have a law that allows us, the bosses, right, These we represent, we vote these people in office. We're still bosses. They're still our employees. They're supposed to be representing us, but in some cases they are corrupted and they lie to us. So why do we not have any laws that allow us to go above their head for a review to take a case away from them? If somebody is not doing their job in cases in 250 years, you're telling me that we the people have no power to redress our government without having to hire thousands of dollars worth of attorneys to try to move a case from an incompetent hand into better hands like the FBI? We've got to go and beg potentially a corrupted sheriff or a corrupted DA to have them turn
Yeah,
the case over. And in
it's
250
insane.
years, we've never,
Yeah,
got laws to protect us from that. It just seems it's time.
it's a crying shame. The parents like Tabitha Tutors. You remember her, Smiley?
Oh yeah, never forget.
Martha Leanne Green. We can go back, decades, and it is still the same. They said the same thing. They say the same thing. Law enforcement doesn't talk to one another, and they don't talk to us. They act
Right.
like they act like we're an inconvenience when we
Exactly.
call them and try to get some answers. And it's the same thing, and it's so sad. It's change has got to happen, but I think we're the only people that can do it. And
Yeah.
I wish that I could say that my vote counts. I don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore.
It makes
I
you
am so
wonder.
fed up.
Makes you wonder.
I'm so fed up.
It's
I agree,
scary.
Jen. Yep.
It's scary. Like even here in the state of Florida, I see one of my governor elects. That's like I looked at all the governor elects, and it looks like they're all, no matter who we're going to choose for the state of Florida, the biggest developer here in the state of Florida has already bought all of them. Like it doesn't matter who
Yeah,
we choose, and it's like what the hell, like no matter who's going to be governor, they're going to be bought and paid for by our biggest developer, Pat Neal, here in the state of Florida. No matter
yep,
who we choose, and it's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. So, what the hell? That's
that's right.
frustrating.
It is very frustrating. It
Notice
is
how I'm
very
using
frustrating.
chat to actually communicate with people.
Hey, they were on a roll, Seth. I mean,
Oh, I know. Betty with her AD&D, and you three just helping. Yeah,
AT&T.
I love you, Betty.
I can't. Sometimes I forget I'm
But
on
I'm
your
honest.
show, and I
I
just
mean, I'm honest to a default. Like, I don't care. Judge me. God will judge me when I die.
yeah, but
Well, read this comment is a good one by you, Seth. You might as well read it.
Now, to answer the question for what I had put up there previously, um, Deputy Eric Craddock was in charge of this case from the get-go.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was on even before Sonny
Sonny had
died.
already submitted, from my understanding, he had already submitted his retirement paperwork and was just finishing out his election year, and he didn't make it. And that's why they held the emergency election, in which turn Sonny's body wasn't even cold yet, and his wife had written a letter stating why Sonny wanted Eric Craddock, because that was his protege. He was the one that knew everything that was going on and was to take over. And I just wonder, what information does he really know
Absolutely.
about what's going on in Sumner County? And I'd like to point out that somebody said that this case would be in the books or something along those lines, and people will talk about this case for a long time. And you're damn right, you asshole.
Okay,
My son means something to me, and any real parent will tell you that their children mean something to them. And I will not shut my mouth until my son is home, and you can't shut it.
That's
Okay,
right.
well, we're not talking about anybody outside. You made it very specific, and even though I went over the lines, doesn't mean you can
Oh,
go over the
so I
lines.
can have my
No,
negative
you cannot.
moment.
You cannot. You told me if it's not in here, we cannot talk
Yeah.
about it. And
It was
I
your
don't
rule, Seth
remember.
Rogers.
I read over this. I didn't hear those comments in the paperwork. You're not allowed to comment on it. You made it very clear. Okay, I violated the rules, kind of, sort of, because we went on a tangent based upon something we read in the
And
document.
she's going on another one.
Well, I can talk your ear off if you want to go on a tangent like that again. And I've got buttons. And I got buttons. Don't forget, I got buttons.
Yeah, it was your role.
And don't forget, I'm the one supposed to watch my mouth, Seth. But you should
Well, you
watch
got
yours
gators
too.
restricting you.
I can make
literally.
noise.
Literally. There you go, buddy. I was wondering where you had your soundboard.
I'm sorry.
I think that this attorney is
what's
going
up, Becky?
to
I can't hear you.
hopefully change things here in Tennessee. And I think that that's the I mean that's a hope. We can only
Yeah.
hope
I know.
that this attorney can knows the law so damn good, and that he has his own connections that the little good old boy club can't touch.
Listen, I don't
That
think an
you
attorney's
know
going to take on this
Amen.
financial responsibility in partnership with Seth if there wasn't meat to the bone. That's the way I look at it.
agree.
This
I
is
agree.
blood, sweat,
Oh,
and
yeah.
tears of this
Hands down.
attorney's doing too. So there has to be some serious meat on this bone for this attorney to stick his neck out for this case. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
And I
it's a
don't care what
godsend.
I don't care what the naysayers say. They're not freaking attorneys. They're fucking felons. Excuse my language. Sorry. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I did it myself. Okay. I don't even want to hear it from anybody. All right. I did it.
Being good. Oh my god.
I knew it was coming. I'm just saying.
Will you please smack the out of her, Tony?
He
Yeah,
already
it's
did.
Tony that told me not to swear, so listen.
I stopped myself from that.
I'm
my
just gonna
gosh.
sit here and file my nails or something.
Smiley just looking pretty over there, that's all.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm leaking everywhere. So give me a second.
No, I think this is a positive though, because cases do set precedents. So I mean that's another
Yes.
positive if
Well,
it goes through all of that.
He's not setting precedent. I mean, there's case law in here supporting his
Oh,
case.
true, Betty. There, I do remember hearing some citing because I listened to the chasing.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
some of the comments where people are wanting to know where my attorney is. Yeah, my attorney, I doubt you will find him on social media.
I would think he's kind of busy. He's a
I
big
think he's a
time
little
lawyer.
busy.
He's
got high profile
If
cases.
they're trying to make this guy look like a little guy, no, you better do your fact finding.
Exactly.
I don't think he's got time to hold
Trying
any of his
to-
clients' hands on YouTube.
No.
Mama Marissa said, "Call her later. You can vent." We'll call you, Mama.
But I mean, yeah, my attorney won't be on social media.
Yeah.
When it comes down to social media, you guys kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Nobody can
Attorney-client
advocate
privilege.
for my son.
Yeah.
The attorney's
But
never.
and at the end of the day, I think you're in good hands with him. He seems very knowledgeable. I personally think the complaint is well written. I think he did a very, very good job. I think he did a very good job. I think if there wasn't something here, this is not, they don't just gamble. They don't say, ooh, I wonder if this is going to work. No, they evaluate a case and find out its, survivability of certain claims, and they look at both sides of the argument. If you are a good attorney, you look at the positive and the negative side of your case before you ever get into it. And there's plenty of case law in both sides, and you review it, and you basically try the case in in pre I don't know how to explain it. Before you ever take a contingency case, you're going to be looking at that case to find out if there's a path forward. And an attorney's not going to take on financial
Absolutely.
responsibility for a case that doesn't have meat to the bone. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Did we get 1,000 thumbs up?
Oh, very good.
Yay.
I'm very
Now let's
happy
get
with that.
1,000 more.
Amen. But this is kind of where my time comes to an end. So I
Betty's
sleep
turning
late.
into a pumpkin.
I do
Well,
turn
yeah,
into
10 o'clock. I mean,
Well, Seth, did he tell you? I mean, I'm sure you can say this. Did he tell you, like, when you were talking to him, what you can expect as far as two things I want to ask? Does he expect either one of these places to countersue? And did he say this could take years, which we know with the government anything's possible? And we hope you find Sebastian before then. But I'm just saying, what did he give you as far as that goes?
he told me to take the case. That's
That's
it.
it.
yeah. Most good attorneys
I'm
don't
not an
promise
attorney.
anything because
All that
that
is
could.
that's his wheelhouse.
Mhm.
He said that he'll take the case. That means that we have a case, in my opinion. Now,
Yep.
of course, people are going to put into it to have it, what is it, rejected or
Yeah,
out, and
Yeah.
the attorney's going to be able to respond.
sure. Yeah,
That's their wheelhouse. I
yeah,
have nothing to do with it. How long it's going to take? I spoke to Tony about this, and Tony told me that any of these cases could take 12, 15 years.
yeah.
It can take a very, very, very long time to get to the end game. And most of these will drag out for many, many, many years and then ultimately settle right when you're about to go into trial. So you got to go through all the preparation of trial. You're ready to walk in, and everybody's like, I'm not going to
I
do
will
that.
state that my attorney wants a jury trial,
Trial. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Good.
that. A
and I
trial,
agree
a
with him. A
jury
true
trial. That's going
trial.
to be great.
I
Mhm.
want a trial by my peers.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Smart.
Mhm.
Well, Glenview, the attorney has already did interviews with the local news. So the
Mhm.
attorney has put himself out there, but what Seth is saying is he's not his attorney doesn't have time to go on YouTube panels. He's not going to be doing things like that. He's too
No,
busy. He's a
no,
high profile attorney.
no attorney's really going to do that unless
Yeah.
part of their job is being
Something that I have learned through this process, besides what we've been discussing, is that a good PI won't be online, a
Yep.
good attorney won't be online, because they are busy doing things that they need to do.
Their job, right.
They're not running
Amen.
their mouth. They're speaking from factual information and knowledge.
No.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's not attorneys that literally have YouTube channels, because I know there are, but
Mhm.
they market that.
Right.
Right.
That's what I was just saying. Unless that's part of their whole
But
thing.
from my understanding, this my attorney also I believe the number he used was he's got 36 other attorneys underneath him.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Big
your attorney is
time.
nothing like Patty.
Uh,
His attorney's nothing like Terry Frizzell. I
F
can tell
and
you that.
Patty. F and Patty.
yeah, I haven't seen your attorney even on an interview or anything. Really, I don't think, Betty.
For the federal, no, he didn't. He declined any type of at this juncture. I was trying to work with him to see about getting on and doing a little a snippet about it, but he didn't want to. So I let the news just roll with it. I didn't really say anything about it. They all reached out to me, but I didn't comment. I ended up coming on
If
here and
people are
cussing
reaching out
out
to
every.
me, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Any way I can keep Sebastian's name out
Sebastian's
there.
name out there. Yeah, that's the name. That's it. That's it. Because at the end of the day, we all probably need to make sure that at least we're bringing Sebastian up. I wish there was some new information that we could be talking about. I mean, I'm glad that these federal cases are coming out just to kind of reinvigorate his name into the media spotlight again. But at the end of the day, one, you should have never had to do this. You should have had the confidence in the law enforcement body investigating your son's case, which you do not have the confidence in. And even when you let them know you don't have the confidence in, instead of them moving this on to somebody you were more confident in, they decide to sabotage this case and put it into a freaking filing cabinet and tell you, go suck wind. And it's like, talk about some vindictive behavior. It just, I mean, that's what it seems like. Whether it is, that's what it seems like out here to the rest of us.
I mean, it takes a lot of effort for me to stay PC about certain things, but if you're a parent, I wouldn't recommend living here. Not if you care about your children.
I've been saying that for years.
Amen.
Scary. Scary.
But
It
at the
is.
same point in time, there's other states that are probably the same way. I mean,
agree.
I lived
Well,
in
There has
you
to
know
be a
what?
federal.
I sorry. You know what? In all fairness, Seth,
hold
I
on,
don't.
hold on.
I
I
disagree
lived
with
in
that.
California before I moved here. And,
But California is more populated, though. You have your problems, but per capita, it's still less than Tennessee.
500 kids a
More liberal.
month? I mean, come on. This
Tennessee
is
is worse than the state of Florida, and we have double the population here. And they're 5 times worse than Florida. And we have we have 27, 28 million people in the state of Florida. I think Tennessee has 11.
it's
Interesting.
getting worse every day, every month. It's I don't miss it. I wouldn't go back there for nothing. It's crazy. Not to raise kids, not to raise kids.
now,
Well,
before California, we lived, me and Sebastian were in Kansas. All right. And we moved to Kansas.
I'm sorry. I think of Wizard of Oz. That's not funny. I know. I'm sorry. So
Click your heels
it's
together
it's late. I'm getting
That's
delusional.
what I
read
was thinking,
between the
Betty.
lines. You hear me? You didn't hear me,
Yes.
Betty? Click your heels together 3 times and read between the
Aw.
lines.
I don't
Uh,
have red shoes.
but before that, we were in Georgia, and my son has a chromosomal deletion syndrome. And while I'm sitting there trying to get him on SSID, all right, I literally spoke to this lady and told her, "Listen, he is missing a chromosome." And this lady turned around and said, "Won't he grow that back?" That
Well, you
comment,
know
I
what?
hold on,
I
hold
mean,
on,
can't
hold
with
on, hold on.
some people.
That comment right there is the
Wow.
reason I turned around and moved with my parents while Katie was in boot camp, was to get out of Georgia where I could get somewhere that somebody has some common sense when it comes to actual biology and understand that a child is not a lizard. And
but nobody knows what I mean. Some people may not understand how chromosomes work.
then why are you going over the health records to see if my son qualifies for help?
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Just need to
rare.
do
I mean, I
better.
get it, but
It's a chromosomal
chromosome go back.
deletion.
Yeah.
All right. And when I explained it to the lady, I was like, listen, he's missing a chromosome. And I was like, in Down syndrome, they have an extra. And with Sebastian, he is missing one. And then she made that comment. And I'm like, well, okay, I can't deal with you. I mean, that to me, and I literally, me and Sebastian moved to Kansas, and that was in November. And I had him on SSID by January. Not only that, but I was able to get him into the school system and a daycare system
Mhm.
and start looking for a job again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we just need to do better. Need to do better.
You know, states are all different, and
Mhm.
I've never been for big government, but I believe that each state, I believe it that they need a federal I believe they need a federal oversight for our children's sake.
Well, well, not only that, it's just we there's too much widespread corruption in this country. And
Term limits.
at the end of the day, that's part of the problem here. If you got corruption, you got people stealing money. That means the money that is going to these services are having money off the top taken, which is meaning less funding for the services that are needed. There's always somebody taking more than they should be taking. So would federal, it's not that you want federal oversight, because it's more bureaucracy, more taxes, more everything. But at the end of the day, what do? You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. We can't keep going down this avenue, because situations like Setson, where the sheriff doesn't really care for this case and is not doing what they need to be doing right by the victim, what do you do? Who do you go to for help right now in this situation? There's no place for Seth to go.
Oh,
There's no place for him to go to complain or to have somebody take a second look. There's no process for that. There's none of these processes.
Exactly.
It's like it all stops and ends with that county, no matter how wrong that county is. How do you fix something like that?
right.
And this is
Ash
not
Mangy.
just in this state. This is everywhere.
Can you
And
pull
to
up
turn down
Ash-
resources
Can you
and
pull up
help.
Ash Mangy's comment?
What is it?
Can you pull up Ash Mangy? She says there was absolutely negligence in this investigation that is covered under the Tennessee tort law, that they should not have immunity for negligence. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what the documents state.
Yeah, and that might be where they're
Bam.
going with
There
that.
you go.
That's right. That's exactly
All
right.
guys. Well, I gotta go. I'm drinking coffee, but it's not helping. After 10 o'clock, it's not helping. I don't know how the hell I managed to pull it off till 11. I did like 3 nights from 9 to 11. I don't know how, or 9. Actually, I did the first night 9 to 11. I realized I couldn't do that again, so I did only 1 hour segments from 9 to 10. But now I'm past 10, and I'm like, it's just like a light switch. It's like it just turns off, and I can just feel myself go down. It's like I'm going down, folks. So I gotta go to bed. Huh?
I did no. I'm addressing this comment. I didn't mean any disrespect by that comment. I hope you didn't take any.
Yeah, I don't.
I think the point is that it's hard to explain to other people when they don't understand. So you might give an analogy, like
Right.
as in, yeah, that's the way I took it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So-
I mean,
You
at
were
that
just
point
making a point that Down syndrome had an extra
Yeah,
chromosome, and yours is missing a chromosome. You were just making a statement. So if somebody got butthurt over that, well, that's a them problem, not a you problem.
No, here it is. She said, "Oh, I
Oh.
know. It's just crazy to think that."
Oh, okay, that's what she was saying. I was going to
gotcha.
say I didn't think she was saying
I
anything.
mean, I'm not here to offend
That
anybody.
is
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm here to, I'm
Thank you for clarifying,
trying
Midnight.
to
We
stay on
appreciate
top.
that.
that Sebastian is missing. And
Mhm.
yes, the attorney filed these things, and it is sad that I have to actually, do this. And
Yeah.
the fact that the only way that I can see it being fixed for our nation is to have another entity that keeps them following
Honest.
protocols.
Honest, transparent. One of the biggest problems
Accountable.
I think right now that we're going to be fighting is the fact that, look at what Seth is going through right now over his son, okay? With the Department of Children and Family Service not even being able to find out what's going on with his son. They're doing a lot of dirty stuff behind the scenes and hiding behind confidentiality. And if we as Americans don't get above this and start getting some regulations to regulate these investigators, we have no way of helping drive proper policy in these areas, because they are keeping us in the dark intentionally and willfully. You go to a Department of Children and Family Services and ask them for their cases for 90 days. They'll look at you like you're lost your freaking mind. because that's the confidentiality. Confidentiality. There's no transparency in the Department of Children and Family Services except when we have a missing kid that's dead, right?
Of all things,
Exactly.
when
Poor
I
Marvin.
contacted DCS the first time and I told them who I was, I expected them to tell me, well, you'll need to come to our office and bring your ID. And
Right.
you'll need to bring something that states that you're the child's guardian, father, biological, which is my divorce papers, my birth certificate, my social security. I mean, anything that prove my identity. And I was cool with setting up appointment and coming in. But when they said, well, you'll need to get an attorney to get these, it's like, okay, so if I didn't have the money from the GoFundMe at that point in time to get an attorney and to put down the deposit that she requested,
Yep.
I would have never been able to do that.
Oh my goodness.
But I just want to point that out because that's what he's going through is going on throughout this country. And think about this: we've heard of horrible allegations of saying, let's talking about Raffic, right, with a T, right,
Yep.
of children through the system. And how are we going to bring transparency to that, to say yay or nay? Who is really looking into that? And do we really trust the reporting of that when we can't verify the information? We're hearing of all these terrible stories going on with people inside the system. And when we go to try to look as to inform us, to expose anything that could be harming children that are already disadvantaged, what do we get? Confidentiality, confidentiality, confidentiality. That's what's making this vacuum of these things happening all over this country, is because they're able to hide behind confidentiality. We have to break that in this country, either forcing all these children to become numbers or something. But something has to give here where we can look at what is going on behind the scenes of the Department of Children and Family Services to start really driving policy for change.
100%.
Here's something else to think about. They didn't notify me when he was Title IV. If they were to remove him from that house, and then all of a sudden I don't know where he's at, what were they going to do with him?
Right. And where was he going to go?
I'm sorry, but that's child trafficking. Taking another person's child, not communicating with them, letting them know what's going on, and putting him with someone else.
And we've heard allegations of that
Absolutely.
already in the system, and there's no way for us to actually fact find that. How do we fact find that? Go ask for those reports and see what kind of response you get. There's got to be change. There's got to be change all over.
There's got
the
to be
place.
change. Yeah, we've got to have change.
Yeah.
And
So
hopefully
currency.
this is what is going to provide change. And all the people, all the naysayers and all of that. Well, you know what? Let their kid go missing. And they're going to want all kinds of
I
change.
don't
They're going
wish,
to,
I do not wish this on anybody. I don't. I mean,
yeah.
it was.
You may not, but I'm an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and these people have no idea what you went through, and they
You know
put
what?
you through a slap meat grinder for no freaking reason.
I believe an eye for an eye, but I'm telling you, it's not worth it for the children. Because I don't know what Sebastian's going through.
I get it. I mean, it's more hyperbole. It's more like you don't want any child to be injured, but you do wish that somebody would feel the anxiety that you feel without having the reality that you have.
Well, they would think differently if it was their
Right.
kid.
That's kind of, I mean, it's not that we really want them to have that kind of pain, but in there are some senses where you want them to have that kind of pain just to understand, because maybe if they understood just a little bit of that pain, maybe they wouldn't be so nasty.
You can't change people.
I just wish everybody would be kinder to everybody. I mean, because at the end of the day, this is about Sebastian. It's not about Seth. It's not about Katie. It's not about Chris. Nobody's been charged with anything. And that's what I wish
It's
and hope
about
for at the end of the
Sebastian,
day. It's
and
about
it's trying to
Sebastian.
hold people
True.
accountable for their job because my son should be in his room right now, or
Absolutely.
wherever he should be, yelling at me to bait his hook because it's dark outside. Hey, what is that you're doing there, Betty? You know that's illegal, right?
I know. I'm gonna leave you guys. You guys have a good night. Please, guys, keep Seth on track.
Thanks,
No,
Betty.
no degrading the other side. Keep it to the facts of the case. What's in the four corners of the
I'm
paper,
I'm
and
actually
then
it. We've been on for
okay.
over.
All right. I just want to make sure that we keep it real. I get nervous. So you guys have a good night. I love you. God bless
Thank
everybody.
you.
We'll
Good
Love you.
night, Betty. Love
uh-huh.
you.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Yeah, I
I
don't
want to thank
even I don't
everybody
even talk about
for
them. I
showing
try
up
not
in
to.
the chat.
Oh,
I
sorry.
do appreciate everybody being here. I know people have questions, and I know I don't do a lot of Q's and A's, anyways. But I figured I just, you know, people have questions, and I'm going to try my best to answer them, those that I can. And I appreciate you, Miss Smiley.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you, Jen. I appreciate Gator Mouth. Um,
Leave her alone,
You
Seth.
better look. You better. I'm up here. Okay. Medication. I don't even sound like myself. This everybody later. That's not really Lady Freedom.
that wasn't Lady Freedom. That was somebody else's alt account.
I wish I
But
had the old school computer where I could talk like a robot. That would be way cooler. But
how about the old school computer with a green screen and it was an Apple product?
yes, yes, exactly.
I want
Thank
to
you
thank
guys for being
again.
here
I thank
tonight.
everybody.
Thank you,
I'm
Jen
about to
and
call this
Smiley.
over with. I'm I'm I need a breather. I need to go outside.
Same.
Well, take care
For
of
sure.
yourself. Thank you for having me up.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you joining.
My,
Thank you so
Yeah. Thanks,
much.
Seth. Y'all have a
Everybody
Hang
good
in
night.
there.
rest,
thank you,
stay
Seth.
safe.
Have a good
Love you
night.
all.
Sweet Seth.
Y'all have a good night. Thank you, audience, for being here.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Jen.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. How do I get out of here?